And I just felt like I was coming out of a dream, just out of the clouds. Shortly after, a nurse came in, and I couldn't move, I couldn't speak, I couldn't do anything but roll my eyeballs around just to realize that I was, I just like, okay. At some point, I realized, yeah, I'm in a hospital. It's like, what happened?
Rewired. I was broken, now I'm whole. Wrote new chapters for my soul. Not the end, just re-inspired. This is me, my life rewired.
Well, it's a great day to have a great day. Thank you for tuning in again. And today you're going to be really impressed with the person that we have on the other line. We have Sandro Marino. Welcome to the podcast, Sandro.
Thank you, Rob. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm excited for our conversation.
Yeah, we talked briefly offline, and we were introduced by a great friend of mine, Jason Lally, and I don't know how you know him, but anytime he says I have somebody you should talk to, I listen because he's a great guy.
Yeah, I know. I've had a couple long conversations with Jason, so I got to know him uh, pretty well so
Yeah.
far. And yeah, he has a lot going on, and uh, he's a great speaker, and yeah, he's learned a lot of things through his experience.
He is wise beyond his years. I know that.
Yeah.
So, Sandro, tell me how. The first thing we like to do on the program is we like to find out a little bit about you. How did you get your brain injury?
I was living in Mammoth Lakes, California. In 1991, I moved there to teach skiing, be a ski instructor for the season of 91 to 92. So that's what got me up there. Uh, and I just fell in love with the mountain lifestyle. I grew up skiing on occasion. My parents would take me up there to Mount Baldy, to Mammoth, and I grew up, skateboarding and mountain bike riding and surfing. So I've always been into outdoor sports and motorcycle riding, and I took well to skiing, and especially after
Mm.
150 days straight and having clinics from world class skiers like the U.S. ski team would come through and teach us techniques and skiing strategies. After falling in love with that environment and really excelling in my skiing, and my friends were like, "Well, if you like it here in the winter, you wait till the spring and summer come around." So anyway, one night, July 19th, 1992, a friend of mine called me up. It was a Monday night, after the, 4th of July holiday. It was really dead. The town was dead. It was like 4,000 people live up there year
Oh
round
wow,
at that time. Very small town. So,
yeah, that's not very big at all.
and so he called me up and he's like, "Hey, bro, you want to meet me down the street at Grumpy's to shoot some pool? This place is literally down the street, 3 blocks away."
Yeah,
So, even though I had a bike helmet and all the gear to ride, from the top of Mammoth Mountain, because, you could take the bike up to on the gondola to the top of the mountain, and they have, riding and trails in the
yeah,
summertime. You can do that. So, but, just going down the street, I thought, okay, I just pulled my bike off the wall. It was 9 p.m. at night, so it was dark, right? I pulled my bike off the wall and didn't put my helmet on, and I just had jumped out the door. Well, I never made it. I was
oh
broadsided
no,
by a Ford Bronco, a family of four. Didn't see me coming. They turned left and broads. They were turning left into a little parking lot to get some Swenson ice cream, and I was
oh
coming down the
wow.
street, hauling downhill towards where I was headed,
Hmm.
and I never saw it coming. I woke up.
Wow.
My first memory was 10 days later, um, opening my eyes, and my first memory is seeing the TV and the sink and white walls, in the hospital. And I just felt like I was coming out of a dream, just out of the clouds. And shortly after, a nurse came in, and I couldn't move, I couldn't speak, I couldn't do anything but roll my eyeballs around just to realize that
Goodness.
I was, I just like, okay. At some point, I realized, yeah, I'm in a hospital. It's like, what
Yeah.
happened? What happened? Where am I? And once I figured that out, uh, within a week, I was stable enough, and I was wheeled into a conference room with my parents and the neurosurgeons and the nurses and what have you. And they basically told me what happened to me. I had two subdural hematomas, a
Mm.
contra injury of the left side. I got hit on this side. So this is my horseshoe scar here.
Oh, wow. I see that.
Yeah, they had to life flight me from Mammoth Lakes to Reno, Nevada, the nearest head trauma center or the trauma center or whatever.
Yeah.
And they had to cut this out, and it took I believe it was about 4 to 5 hours before they got me on the table, and I could have easily died from the massive hemorrhaging I was suffering.
Exactly.
I had
Yeah.
from the reports, I believe I had blood coming out of my nose and my ears, and
Gee whiz.
internal bleeding for hours before they got relieved the pressure and took care of the hemorrhaging. So it was amazing that I even survived the journey. Um,
Exactly.
but I think a lot of it had to do with my level of fitness, and I was like, 200
Hmm.
and 200, and at that time I think I was about probably 210, 215 pounds, all muscle, you know, and so they said, the neurosurgeon says, well, this is what happened to you. Your life as you know it is over. You'll never bike again. You'll never ski again. No rock climbing, no contact sports.
Hmm.
We
They didn't know
don't,
you very well, did they?
yeah, yeah, they didn't know me very well. Yeah. They said, we don't know how well you're going to recover, but these are I mean, you can't, I couldn't even speak at the time. I was just like,
Yeah.
and, but
Yep.
I could
Been there, done that.
I was in a state of comprehension because I was understanding what was going on and what
Yeah.
they were telling me. And I looked over to my parents and I just shook my head. I was just thinking to myself, fuck that. Excuse my French, but that's what
You're
was going
fine.
through my head. I couldn't say it, but I could think it, you know? and and then so shortly after, they flew me, so it was like 3 weeks after my injury, uh, you know, so about, 10 days, 11 days after my first memory, about 3 weeks up there, I was at a point where, okay, I'm stabilized, whatever, I can relocate. So I flew down to Oxnard Medical Center there, and I checked into a transitional living center, which was basically a home that
Yeah.
the hospital purchased next to the hospital, whatever. So I had my own bedroom. It was just like a house. I just checked in. I had my own room. We had a kitchen. It was, and basically learning how to start over from scratch. But I did go through the first couple weeks before I left to be able to walk around, to be mobilized,
Yeah.
so I could mobilize myself for the most part. So fortunately, I was, I atrophied, like I lost 40 pounds of muscle because I couldn't eat. I was on intravenous for a couple weeks before I was able to start even drink any water. So
Wow.
I went from like 210. Oh, I think I was like, oh yeah, I was 210, and I lost 40 pounds. Uh,
Goodness.
yeah, in just a matter of a couple weeks from the atrophy. I mean, that's how fast my metabolism was going to heal the brain, and you know,
Yeah.
and so it was just, I was giving me sugar water. I don't know. It's just interesting that that's all they give you, is because I guess your brain survives on more of sugar, the glycogen
Yeah.
or what have you. So once I was in the transitional living center, I was just like, and my friends would come and came down to visit me, and they saw me while I was in the hospital up in Reno. Of course, it was a lot closer. I was 3 hours drive from Mammoth at that
Oh
time.
wow.
Um, but Southern California is, it was like a 5 6 hour drive to Oxnard. So I had some friends come down, but mostly it was just my family and me. They would come visit, and then after 4 months of being there, I added some things that I did when I was younger, for to help my balance, so I could recalibrate my get my walking back and rebuild
Yeah.
my body again, so I could check out of there as quickly as possible. Aside from the cognitive therapy that I was going through, I mean,
Yeah.
they were just. I had to learn how to make my bed again, and breakfast,
Mm-hmm.
and they would give me a list. Okay, we're all going to the store today, so they give me like 5 things to go to look for in the store. And one thing I realized when I walked in the store, like everything was neon, like
Mm-hmm.
the light sensitivity. Um,
Yes.
that really impacted me. And it's like you look at all the packaging from everything; it's like bright colors, and
Mm-hmm.
and you don't. It was like kind of like being on acid. If you
Yeah.
if you've ever been on
That's a great way to describe that.
psychedelics.
You're not wrong.
Before, when I was a teenager, I experimented with some LSD and mushrooms and this and that, and it reminded me of that, but it was just constant. It doesn't go away. It didn't go away. So it was just like, whoa, bright, the phosphorescent lights, and the all the packaging, and it's like, whoa,
Mm-hmm.
and overwhelming sensory overload with noise,
Yes.
bright lights, and it was just, yeah, pretty intense. So,
Mm-hmm.
and then I would look at my list and I would be like, okay, spaghetti. What am I looking for? Oh, spaghetti. Uh, Distraction. Oh, spaghetti.
Uh-huh.
Uh, you know,
I
so
know that too well.
yeah, you know what I'm talking about. I mean, starting from
Uh-huh.
zero. Uh,
Yeah.
eh, eh, you know, and so that was how I started my rehabilitation. Once I was able to carry myself around, because I initially I needed 2 nurses. They put a belt around me. I had 2 nurses,
Mm-hmm.
and a walker. You know, and I'm 6 feet 2 inches tall. And I have these little nurses. Guiding me. Grabbing me, making sure I'm not falling over, and so that's how it started. So anyway, within 4 months, I added a couple things like hacky sack. I remember I'm a hacky sack to improve my balance because I'm going back to the mountain. I said, I don't care what the
Yeah.
doctors say. I'm going back to the mountain this season. My friends were like, yeah, come on back, man, come on back. They were rooting for me to come back. And even though it was totally against my prognosis and
Mm.
recommendations, they say, we don't know how well you're going to recover. You may have to live with your parents for the rest of your life, if you can't function. You may not be
Yeah.
independent again. So I just didn't, I mean, I just turned 20 6 weeks prior. It's like that. I mean, imagine hearing that. I mean, like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't. I'm not clear on like the severity of your injury, like how bad you were or where but any significant traumatic brain injury puts you in a place where you're like you don't know until you know. You know.
Yeah.
Um,
If you get a chance, visit my website. I wrote a article last night. Well, a blog. That's an article. I don't make it sound like I work for a newspaper or something.
mm,
But I wrote a little blog last night about pizzas. How do pizzas compare to brain injury?
Interesting.
You'll
It's,
have to check that out.
I will, because as a matter of fact, I grew up in the Italian restaurant business, and I've been I started flipping pizzas when I was just a kid, uh, and as a matter of fact, I was thinking about looking at starting a pizza business, uh,
Oh,
in Vi-
cool.
in Vietnam. So
That's an interesting location to start a pizza business.
yeah, well, I'll tell you, that's another story right there. I didn't know anything about Vietnam except I knew there was a war there when I was born. That was
Hmm.
about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Apocalypse Now. That's all I knew about Vietnam
Yeah.
before
Right.
before I went to Southeast Asia this last year and discovered the new Vietnam and what it is and what it has to offer right now. And so, yeah, fell in love with Vietnam, and it's growing like crazy, and it's a beautiful environment. The people are friendly. The environment is wonderful. And the city that I really fell in love with is Da Nang, Vietnam, and it's a beachfront city. Very probably the safest city I've ever been to. Just like virtually no crime, practically no crime.
Really?
Yeah, there's no physical violence. There's no shootings. There's no, you don't feel aggression. You don't feel unsafe. Like women, children, guys from all over the world. There's no reports of any assaults, robbery. It doesn't happen there.
Wow.
Yeah, it's an amazing little utopian type of place that I fell in love with because the water is warm. You can surf there. They have a surf break. They have a sand break out right there in the city beachfront, uh, and I just fell in love with it. A friend turned me on to it that was in Thailand where I initially went, um, and he exited Thailand with his wife to Vietnam to spend a couple months. They spent 3 months there, and they called me and they said, on WhatsApp, they said, "Hey, bro, you're gonna love Da Nang. It has all the things you love: the sand, the surf." The food, the cuisine, the international cuisine. They got, Vietnamese food is also very healthy and very tasty, but
Yeah.
also there's been a big influx of expats from around the world go there to not just travel but to also live there. Um, so a lot of there's a popular neighborhood that's blowing up with a lot of international cuisine outside of Asian, Korean, Thai, Chinese. Um, there's also, I mean, I met Italians from Sardinia, Naples,
Wow.
a lot of Indians there. It's closer to India. So there's amazing Indian food. Oh my gosh. I
I'm
had
curious. What is the cost of living compared to the US down there?
1/10 of the cost,
Really?
approximately. Yeah. 5 to 10 times
Wow.
cheaper to live,
Goodness.
I mean, I was renting a homestay hotel suite, simple suite, right? Nothing special.
Yeah.
I just queen or no, it was a king size bed. They did my laundry twice a week, cleaned my room twice a week. I had a gym downstairs, a rooftop pool. Guess how much per month?
Per month? 600.
$265 flat.
Dang. My
There's no
first house payment was more
there's
than
no
that.
place. I've been traveling. I've been to over a dozen countries. Now I know a lot of people have been to 50 countries or whatever, but I've been to some hot spots. I lived in Rio. My family's from Argentina. I'm half Argentinian. Um, I've traveled through. I've seen Ecuador. I've been to Ecuador, Paraguay, Uruguay, Canada. Um, I was in Hawaii many times. I have friends that live over there. Super expensive, kind of blown out, but it's beautiful. But and then I've been while I was over there too. I went to Bali and I was in Thailand and whatever. But the value in Vietnam is the best value I've seen anywhere I've ever been in my life, and
Wow.
and a lot of people that are over there have discovered the same thing. Um, and so anyway, that's a a new secret.
When I hit the lottery, I'm going to move there.
Yeah, well, you don't need a lot of money to live there. I was spending as little as $1,000 a month
Wow.
to be there. That include eating
Mm.
out every single day. Did not cook. I just had a suite. I had no kitchen. I had a water kettle and a mini fridge. That's it. All I kept in there was I had a bunch of eggs. Oh, and the open market there, like the local markets, they have duck farms, so there's a lot of duck eggs, chicken eggs, and quail eggs. Like so, I had all these different eggs for my protein and whatever. So in between my meals out, I would have fresh fruit. I would have papaya, pineapple, passion fruit, uh,
Mm.
banana, like all locally sourced, from right, because all you have to do is spit on the ground and watch a palm tree grow in Vietnam, the land is fertile.
Right. Oh, wow.
And so, like,
So,
food's amazing, the people amazing. Anyway, the environment is a big deal. And, here in
yeah.
Baja California, it's also a great environment. It's a lot more space. There's no
Mm.
traffic here. There's no smog in the air. We've had this ranch for 20 years, and it's been a place where I've come here several times throughout the last 20 years to go through a reset of my own. Um,
Yeah.
and But it doesn't have the city. There's no. I mean, sure, there's Ensenada, 45-minute drive away, and it has its. There's great food here as well. If you love Mexican food, there's actually a lot of great cuisine in the Valle de Guadalupe, but it's literally 10 times more expensive than Vietnam. Um,
Wow. I can believe that.
yeah, and so uh, and it's comparable to Southern California. Now, just we're only 60 miles from the border, so this place has been, you know, for full-time living. Yes, it's less expensive than the States. Yes, but the rent's cheaper. It's probably about 50% of the cost than San Diego. Let's say you can cut it in half
Mm.
if you're here. So it's still better. It's still great value because we still got California weather, but we're not in California. We're in Baja California,
Right.
right? Um, and the ocean is here. It's great. There's surf spots. There's a lot of guys that love to surf. I'm spoiled. I like warm water. There's the K38s here. There's the closest surf spot is a 30-minute drive from my ranch. I have my stand-up paddleboard. I have a hybrid board that's good for flat water and waves, which I will
Yeah.
be taking to Vietnam. Um, but but no, it's great here. It's beautiful. We have great weather most of the year. It's Southern California weather. But if you want cuisine, a different vibe, that's why I'm like now going. I'm going back to Vietnam when I'm done here. But
Hmm.
so I kind of went on a tangent with this with Vietnam or whatever. But where were we? Just kind of talking about what happened to me and
Yeah.
my recovery. So after I'm going to go back to that. After 4 months of being in the transitional living center, I pretty much graduated out. Like they couldn't help me anymore for what they had to offer,
Hmm.
and my brain swelling had gone down because during that whole time I had to wear a hockey helmet outside of bed because they left that bone plate in a freezer.
Yeah.
It was frozen for to be put back in. 4 months later after my brain swelling went down. It was almost 5 months, and yeah, it was put back in November. So let's see. So August, September, October, November, 4 months out for the brain swelling to go down before they put it back in.
Hmm.
30 days after that, I was recovering and then I was at my parents' house because I was done with the transitional living center. So I checked out of there, got my surgery done, plate put back in, 30 days recovery, and then I moved back to Mammoth Lakes. And I was back on skis by Christmas. I nearly died July 19th.
Wow.
a craniotomy, learn how to walk, talk, eat, drink water again, and I was back on skis by Christmas in 5 months, less than five
What
months.
a what a transition, just in that amount of months.
Yeah,
You
well,
said something that jogged my memory. I have a friend who had to have the craniotomy, and they put his plate in the freezer as well. They lost the plate.
how could they lose it? But
They
somebody must
lost it.
have stole. Probably somebody stole it for
Yep. So I
no.
think I'm gonna ask him the next time I talk to him, but I think he said they put a metal plate in. But yeah, isn't that crazy? How do you lose someone's skull?
That's I wouldn't trust doing a surgery there. I
Right?
can't even keep count of that. Um,
Yeah. So to transition over to this to the other thing we were talking about offline, um, you've started an Airbnb, and I'm going to
well,
put up some photos while we're talking too.
yeah, my mother started an Airbnb years ago here on the ranch. We have 24 acres, by the way, so we have lots of space, a lot of peace, no traffic, no smog, no crowds, no noise.
So beautiful.
It's very beautiful. Lots of birds. We got rabbits and you know, frogs are out there, and we got a water well, and it's very peaceful. It really, after you leave the rat race and you come down here, the
You don't want to go back.
cool thing about this place, it's so close to the states. I mean, 60 miles. I mean, LA is further from where I lived in San Diego than the ranch is.
Yeah.
Um, and you just go deeper into the rat race and the smog and the craziness. Here, you're able to breathe, and
Hmm.
decompress. And um, I've found that it's been a great place for me to reset many times throughout my journey. And I came back here right now. Uh, I'm staying in one of the suites. We have three suites here, but I'm staying in one of them right now, and we have two that are available for something I'm opening up right now. I am inviting people. I've basically I'm inviting two people at one particular time, at the same time, that want to
Hmm.
come down here and disengage from their environment, to do a complete reset, um, and get away from the noise, the things that are pulling at them on a daily basis, to gain more clarity on what's working and what's not in their life, and talk about alternatives to their plan, what they're doing, what their rituals are. Because as a TBI survivor, even another person, just a guy like me, going through, aside from the brain injury, men that go through divorce, or men or women that go through divorce, lose their job, COVID. I mean, that threw the world, and that put the world upside down for a long time. Um,
Right.
I had to restart from that too. I've
Mm.
had other injuries I had to recover from. I have had to recover from, dysfunctional relationships, people that didn't understand my injury, and were committed to confrontation and, being right, instead of being understanding. Um,
Right.
and so I've I didn't know well, after I went back to Mammoth Mountain and got back into that environment, which was, the high Sierras, clean air, no traffic, sports, a whole array of activities I can do, great people, small town environment. I didn't, I mean, I knew it was great. I fell in love with the environment, but it wasn't until 3 years later, until I left that environment to go back to school, to study business and figure out what else, what am I going to do now, and like what am I going to grow
Mhm.
into, because in a resort town, it was very limited. You know, you had the peak season and then, these gap months, and,
Hmm.
where there was no business. It was just really feast or famine in an environment like that. And so I wanted to learn more and go back to school. So it wasn't until I moved from a town of 4,000 to 40,000 to San Luis Obispo where I realized, like, whoa, there's traffic, there's people, there's a lot more going on to process. Even though I recovered so well in Mammoth, in that little bubble, that little
Hmm.
vortex that had all the things that I needed to recover at the level that I recovered at, which was, the environment itself, the community of people I had there, healthy environment, clean air, space, so I could go hiking and with my dog. I got a dog, and that's another thing. Ant pets can be a um, great for emotional support and uh, something that gives you, the how do you call it? Unconditional love. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And
Yep.
we need that, especially coming back from something where you were not operating on an optimal level and you want to fit back in and you want to be loved and you want to be accepted. Well, your pets love you. All you have to do is
Hmm.
pet them, feed them, wash them, and they're your kids for life.
Right.
Yeah, and that I just found that was so important. So it was me and my dog in the mountains, and my sports, my friends, and so all these little things turned out to be a lot when it comes to recovery. Um,
Yes.
and I didn't realize leaving that environment how difficult it was going to be going into the unknown,
Mm.
um, even though I had recovered so well. Um, Especially when you run out of money, because then you're put between a rock and a hard place, and you have to start
True.
doing things that you don't necessarily want to do, and then you have to acclimate to a new routine that may or may not be conducive to
What you want
your
it to be.
overall health and well-being. And
Right.
I did that. Chasing after the greenback, I started to neglect my health, my you know, and rituals that were helping me sustain my health and sense of well-being.
Yeah.
And then I get meet people, but going back to Southern California after that, after 7 months, actually, I didn't go back to Southern California so quickly. After just one semester in school, after that, there were no other classes I was really interested in that I would wanted to really, because as you know, if you're not really interested in something, if you have a
Hmm.
traumatic brain injury, it's hard to keep your focus. Even if
Absolutely.
you are interested, it's hard to
Hmm.
focus on something that you're interested, to
Exactly.
stay on track. Um, so I found it's really important. I mean, for me, it's been critical. If I'm into something that I'm into, like that I'm really wanting to do, then I give it my all and I excel and then I can get ahead. You put the blinders on and you focus and practice whatever it is. As they say, repetition is the mother of learning. And if you are not really emotionally vested into what you're doing, it's like an uphill battle
It
uh,
is.
to keep doing what you don't want to do over long periods of time, and especially if you're not seeing results. And I've found if I kept doing things that were working against the grain, it was only a matter of time before it fell apart
Yep.
or I fell
I
apart.
agree.
you know and but it was tough, like, because I didn't have a big settlement from my accident. These people had no money that hit me. I had a small car insurance settlement that gave me a few bucks that lasted me a few years once I went back into the big wide open world. But I had jobs, always had to get a job. And then, but before, in my late 20s, it happened when I was 20. I had a little money that I would use for emergency only, but then it ran out. It ran out within a couple years. I had to just survive on what I was trading my time for. Um, and yeah, I slipped. I started just shiny object syndrome. ADD. It. We get distracted very easily. You
Very
know?
easily.
And then when you go to an environment where there's a lot of flashing lights and bling bling, and
Hmm.
then pretty girls and whatever, getting distracted with getting into the wrong relationships with the wrong kind of people, the wrong girls, and then reacting to the toxic environment or the toxic behavior of other people,
Right.
that put me in a very bad place a couple
Mm.
times and a few times. And it's difficult because, you know, especially when you get love bombed, you're like, oh, wow, this person really loves me. Or these people that are trying to recruit you into an opportunity, because obviously they have a vested interest in you making them money, right? Uh, you know,
Right.
so you get pulled in. I just found myself getting pulled in so many different directions once I, crossed paths with these different people and opportunities. I didn't know which way was up until things started to slide backwards, like my health and my physical
Mhm.
health, my mental health.
Yeah.
And so it was when I was 16, I went to Argentina for a year to live with my father on the ranch. And I grew up more in that one year than I did several years prior, like
Yeah.
matured so quickly. When I was 17, I went back to high school. I went for one day and I looked around at all these little kids. I'm like, I cannot go to school here. I cannot go back to high school or whatever. So I cut out and I graduated on my own. And get this, my grade point average. This is before my head injury, right? My
Right.
grade point average beforehand was barely a C, and that's not because of I was a lack of intelligence. It was distraction. Kids
Yeah.
around, smoking pot, doing acid, during school, ditching school, getting into trouble. When I removed myself from that environment, my last year, my senior year of high school, I did independent study through the same school system, same
Hmm.
book, same everything, but I did it in my bedroom in 3 months, not 9 months. And my grade point average went from two or whatever to C average to like a B plus, you know?
Wow.
So, and I did it in 3 months because I just focused, I knocked it out. And,
Yeah.
and that I found is even after my head injury is even more important to
Right.
cut out distraction, really focus on what
Exactly.
you want to focus on.
Hmm.
And it's so easily to get distracted, especially with the internet and the Instagram and excuse my French, IG OnlyFans, porn, all that shit, and girls, that are just selling their body for attention,
Right.
and like all that took me really distracted me for many many years. And then when I found a girl that started that I thought was pretty girls and whatever, and they start love bombing you, I overlooked so many red flags, you know
Right.
and I got sucked into a marriage that wasn't right for me. I got sucked into other relationships in the past that were not good for me. My most recent long term relationship was a total of 3.5 years of knowing this woman. I almost lost my left eye because she turned out to be a binge drinking alcoholic. And I dated her remotely, for a year before she said, okay, well, now you got to move in with me or else we got to break up. So she kind of twisted my arm to move in with
Gotcha.
her. And I didn't realize how much she drank, and that,
Wow.
and until I moved in with her. And then I found out some other news about this person that was highly disturbing, that she was a prostitute full time for like 10 years plus,
Oh gosh.
and that she actually was hooking up with clients while we been together for already a year. Like she'd fly up to Seattle to say, I'm going to go visit my son. And then I found an email that she's talking and sending pictures to one of her clients that she's been for, excuse my French, for years prior. And then
Wow.
and then I pick her up at the airport in Reno when I did a road trip with my truck and trailer to take her down for a hot springs tour through the Eastern Sierra Nevada mountain range, all the way down to her home in Cabo San Lucas. So she was using me, lying to me, and then eventually she knocked my eye in when she was drunk for a week straight. And I stayed in that relationship even after I'd found out that she was lying and cheating on me and this and that and the other, because one thing I had to learn and harness recovering from a brain injury was patience, because
Mhm.
everything's so difficult. And I would get so angry, with like the nurses. Like I couldn't even drink water. I was
Wow.
starving. Not only was I was starving coming out of my coma, I was starving. I lost 40 pounds of body weight coming out of a coma because I could not eat or even drink water. Couldn't swallow right.
Goodness.
They didn't want me to get pneumonia.
Right.
So I'm kind of going back to the conditions that we are that we had we were succumbed to that we succumbed to because of our injury. But
Mhm.
even years later, but from this learning patience, okay, accepting the fact that I couldn't eat or drink water, I had to hold back and you know and restrain my frustration, and and through my recovery and becoming more patient with myself and my and the frustrations or whatever, I've become more empathic for other people that
Mm.
have maybe had tough upbringings or went through difficulties and this and that, because I know myself, I've been through it. So
Yeah.
I give I've over the years I gave people more credit than they really deserved,
Yeah.
and I put myself in positions that were not good for me,
Mm.
looking back. And many times I found myself reacting to other people's toxic behavior and then having to accept, but then coming back and apologizing for my reaction
Good
to their
behavior.
toxic
Yeah.
and staying in a relationship, because they reframe, these narcissists reframe things to make you feel like you're the bad guy by your reaction to their toxic behavior.
Very true. Very true.
And and women, I'm sorry, are master manipulators. They are much better than men in general,
Yeah.
and from my experience, from what I've witnessed and being subject to. So I stayed in this relationship long enough to get my eye bashed in, and I just recently, the last couple of years, I told you about this earlier, about going through two surgeries to save my eye and my ability to see not normal. Like my vision has changed forever. Like I don't see
Yeah.
the same anymore. I have to wear glasses while I work now, and even that, it's just because of the not only the quality of my vision went down in my left eye from the trauma, but also the positioning, because they had to go in there two times, and the scar tissue and the repositioning of my eyeball or whatever. So I learned late 30 years later after my head injury, I still made mistakes about not
Yeah.
about missing these red flags because I was love bombed by a
Hmm.
master manipulator who was a prostitute who knew how to work men over for their money and
Yeah.
their and manipulate men. And if you and then but if your reaction through your reaction to this manipulation and trauma and aggression, then you being the man, just by you being a man, you're made guilty just
Yeah.
because you're trying to protect yourself or keep someone down from seriously hurting you. And I didn't,
Mhm.
and I suffered major injury. So another major reminder and big lesson on paying attention to the red flags. And for men or women or TBI survivors, if you are in an environment that is not helpful, that is dragging you down, and you're constantly, if you're in a relationship or in an environment where you're constantly fighting an uphill battle
Hmm.
and you feel like you look like and you're not living your the life that you want to live, you need to step out. Like, don't even think about it. Like, you just need to know where you're going. That's it. Like, put on a
Yeah.
new set of glasses and say, I cannot be here anymore, or at least I need to
Mhm.
check out for a while. And that's why having a place, a safe place to go with, and especially with people that can understand you and help guide you or, give you some ideas and work with you on on other things to look at, in your
Yeah.
life and recalibrate what you want to do and how you want your day to look like.
Hmm.
Your life, I've found my life many times. If I put, I found myself in positions where I was not in a place of congruence with how I wanted to live this second chance I had after this brain injury. I mean, I'm blessed that I was able to come back
Yeah.
at the level that I have been able to. Like, I
Yeah.
went back.
Exactly.
Became a better skier the season I went back to Mammoth, skiing every day, focused on my passion. Within 150 days, I was better skier than I was before my head injury,
Mm.
and
Isn't that amazing?
I still could not walk a straight line. Imagine that. The reason
I've
why
tried
is
too
because
many times.
in skiing it's constant change. You're
Uh-huh.
constantly carving, but what that
True.
taught me in skiing is like you're always one thing you learn is about finding your center. So
Hmm.
even though you're equal, and when I would when I, so which was great because when I would ski, I got my rhythm. It's a very rhythmic movement. So that's one
Yeah.
great thing about rhythmic movements: jogging, walk, even starting with just walking in a rhythm, jogging, running if you're a runner, or swimming. Swimming has been a huge therapeutic exercise for me. That when I'm in Da Nang, I'm in the water every single day. If I'm not
Hmm.
swimming, I'm on the surfboard. They have surfboard rentals right on the beach for like $2.50 an hour. You can take a surfboard out. It's
It's not
amazing.
bad at all.
Oh my gosh. It is a great place. So I'm offering a place for people to come to my ranch right now if they want to take 5 days out, completely disconnect, leave everything behind. Sure, bring your cell phone, all right? Right, but we're all about disconnecting from the things that are pulling at you in all these different directions that are
Yeah.
taking your time and attention away from what's going to be good for you moving forward.
Hmm.
So everybody's going to have a different dream, a different want, a different program maybe that they want to pursue. But I've had a lot of different episodes in my life that I've had to reset from. And
Right.
so I have a lot of lessons learned that I can share. And I have an environment here that is very healing. That would, we would include some activities here on the ranch. we have restaurants nearby, some tours of the restaurants and wineries that we have across the street. I have an amazing winery across the street where they built it with boat hulls upside down in their winery, and yeah, it's a beautiful
Wow,
place. We could just walk there from here, from my ranch.
that's
Um,
pretty cool.
yeah, and there's 200 wineries in the Valle de Guadalupe where I'm at right now, where
Yeah,
our ranch is that we've had for 20 years. So I've learned to pull the ripcord from these toxic environments and people and go to a healing place. Like the
yeah.
that's I mean, because just sitting and scrolling on your phone and the internet, you
That
know,
ain't helping you.
it's not going to help you. You need to take
Uh-uh.
action. And
Right.
you know, and when I was recovering from my brain injury, the internet was just born, 1991 or whatever was made public.
Right?
There was no TBI groups. There was nothing.
No.
They could not after my TBI after my transitional living center. They couldn't even refer me to any other place to get any other coaching or guidance or anything.
Mhm.
Nothing existed like this.
You were on your own. Yeah.
You were on your own, and they were like, "Good luck." They're like, "Good luck," and they're like,
Pretty
"Okay,
much.
great. I know where I'm going." And that's the thing. I knew where I was going. I knew what I wanted, and that's the thing. It's like maybe a lot of people with TBI, you know, survivors or people that've gone through trauma, you're in a mess. You know, you're into something that, especially if you're in an environment that's it's just like Groundhog's Day. It's just the same thing keeps happening every single day, and you don't know
Uh-huh.
which way is the right way anymore. You need to disconnect from all the things that are pulling at you every day from the same people. You know, if you have somebody that's in your corner, great. If you have somebody in your corner that you want to bring with you, you're more than welcome. We can sleep up to two people in that suite. We can sleep up to four people in this suite right here next to me. So we have room for six people total, but only two suites total. So if you want to come independently, great. We've got two separate suites. If you have your partner or someone who's really in support of your, you know, somebody else that's in your corner, we have room for you guys. So 5 days, we have hot springs here too. There are a couple different hot springs we'd go to for healing, for sitting in this hot temperate water that's just amazing here.
That would
We
be
have
nice.
the ocean. We have Ensenada. It's only 30 minutes drive from here to the ocean. You know, fish tacos and carne asada and other amazing cuisine here that we have available. So it's a really great place to reset, and we can work on, you know, what's next for you and what's not,
Awesome.
you know,
That's
and
very good.
cut out, we'll cut out the fat. We can, you know, get it right. Um, you can see what I'm doing here. My routines, my rituals. Every day I go out on the ranch. I do loops on the ranch. I work out in my granite garden gym. We have amazing granite boulders on the ranch that are there's a lot of energy out there. When the sun heats them up, there's like crystals in these boulders. And I lay out, I stretch out, and it melts the stress away. We do some
Oh yeah.
stretching, we do some exercises, and all I have here on the ranch is I have these dumbbells that are the Bowflex ones that are adjustable. You can go from 5 pounds to
Hmm.
52.5 pounds each,
Yeah.
and that's all I need here. And I got a pull-up bar, and I'm in great shape. I've lost some weight because when I was in Vietnam, I was eating like a king, and that's not a bad thing. Oh my God, the seafood there is amazing. Oh my God! But anyway, coming back here, I decided, you know, I was intentionally bulking up too. I was going to the gym over there. The gym membership. Get this, per month, brand new gym. Guess how much membership? Unlimited attendance. How much?
$8.
Seven.
Really?
Yeah.
I wasn't too far off. $8 would be a bargain too.
Good guess. Yeah, for the month. Anyway, and but really, you don't even need it. I mean, I don't have a gym here, right? I have dumbbells, I have the rocks, I have a pull-up bar, and that's my gym, right? And the rock and
Yeah.
I call it the Granite Gym Garden. Uh, So the Granite Garden Gym. So anyhow,
That's
so
awesome.
yeah, I invite you guys.
How do they get in touch with you to book this?
Well, you can find me online, sandromarino.com. You'll go to my website. All my social media is there. You can send me a DM on Instagram, um, Facebook. My YouTube channel's there. I got a bunch of videos now that I'm sharing more of my story, and not only what we face as trauma survivors. Uh, and so you can find me very easily just Google my name, Sandro Marino. You'll see my picture pop up
Okay.
different places. And yeah, reach out. I would love to connect.
Yeah.
Instagram, Facebook, YouTube.
Yeah. Send me all of your information, and I'm going to link it below in the description of this video, so you can easily just click on the links and go directly to his website.
Sounds good, Rob.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you, Rob.
Sure.
So I put it in my notes here because I didn't want to forget exactly what I wanted to ask you. But there was, um, let me see here. So give me a second here. Where's it? Oh, okay. Here's a question here. After hearing so many survivor stories over the years with your podcast,
Mhm.
what do you think is the biggest thing people misunderstand about traumatic brain injury?
The biggest thing they misunderstand is the severity of it.
Yeah.
They really do. They get their knowledge from what they see in the TV and movies.
Well, you know what? That has been with my partners and people that are close to me. That has been the biggest challenge. One of the
Mm,
biggest challenges, because a couple of my partners, they look at me and see how well I'm operating, and that's one thing. When I was coming out of my transitional living center and going back to the mountain, I really had to fake, I not the injury, but how well I was presenting myself. And what was they don't see what's going on, the processing issues that
mhm.
we got going on after you get your head
Exactly.
bashed in. And they don't understand that it takes you a little longer, or maybe you're not hearing things right, or maybe them being confrontational is not good, you know?
Exactly. It's not
And,
good.
and women, the one thing women that I've discovered, they don't like to be told to calm down. Say, please
No.
calm down. No, then they go the opposite. They go, no, like freaking teenagers,
Yeah.
like rebellious teenagers. You tell a teenager to do something, they do the opposite. It's like, please just calm down. Don't tell me to calm down and this and that. And then they wonder why we blow our top because we're
Right.
asking them. I actually literally before I got my eye bashed in, I had my hands like this. I'm all, please, just let me grab my things, let me get my stuff, let me go. No, instead of I said, I'm not touching you, I'm not talking to you. Just let me grab my things, please. Beg you. What came? Boom! A hand to the eyeball that drove my eyeball through. I mean that's been my experience more than once with the wrong women that I've been with. I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't want to generalize too much, but I'm saying people like that that refuse to understand. You need to remove yourself right away because
Yeah. Because
it's
there are some people that will not listen to you, period.
yeah, exactly. They're committed to confrontation,
Hmm.
and that's where their excitement because they have low self esteem and they don't want to be understood. They want you to conform to them their
Yes.
emotional behavior. Their
Absolutely.
and don't realize what kind of impact that makes on you. So
Mhm.
I don't mean to kind of loop back around to that, but what you're saying is very true, and that's been the biggest problem. Is like to look at you, to look at me. Nobody even has a clue,
Yeah.
But when I bring it up, if they're being, a or you know a
Right.
biatch, it's like, wait a minute, hold on a minute, calm down, or just like, let's take a break here, because, and then
Hmm.
I've learned, to check out, physically leave, but it's not that easy all the time, right?
No,
if
it's not.
if you're driving in a car, I've had a couple different women. One was on drugs and one was drunk. It's like, that's another thing. If you're with someone that's an alcoholic, drug user, pill popper, you got to leave, because you don't know what you're
Yes.
going to get from one minute to the next.
Hmm.
I've been assaulted by so many women that think that just because they're women, they have the right to beat your ass and break your and have no consequence. And then
Exactly.
if you do respond, then you're a man, right? So you're guilty because you're born with a
Hmm.
set of nuts. It's like, so anyway, it's a big problem when people don't understand you. I've learned it's a
It's a
big
very
problem,
big problem. Yeah.
and it's tough.
And you have people
You know,
that don't want to understand because it's not their problem.
well, it is their problem, but they don't want to accept that problem. They
Right.
don't want to take responsibility.
They don't want it to affect their life.
Well, yeah, but if you're living with someone or work with someone, if you're inter interlaced with someone
Hmm.
that does not want to understand you and respect you, you
Yep.
you got to
Get
go.
out. Get
You got
out.
to go.
Yeah.
You got to leave. And
You have
and
to for your
I
own
can't, I can't
own well
press
being.
that. I cannot press that hard enough.
Yeah.
I've been criminalized for my reaction to other people's toxic behavior, and that's a sad fact, because you know the the way things operate in the States, and other places too, they lean towards the women.
Hmm.
And I've had
They
I've had
do.
I've had police show up when my ex was literally drunk. She was drunk. She smelled like a bar, smelled like alcohol, and they still looked to me. I'm completely sober, not drinking, just came back from work. And they said, "Well, we got to remove one of you guys, and so,
Yeah.
but you're the man, so we got to take you." I'm like, I'm sober. I'm not the one that's starting this bull. Look at her, smell her, like, look how she's acting.
Hmm.
They still take me outside. I'm the one that goes extracted.
So not right. So
That's
not right.
yeah. It's just, it was, yeah. So anyway, there is no winning with an
No.
alcoholic or anybody that doesn't want to understand and work with you. You need to leave, like, immediately. So if you have a place to stay with me, I'm in Baja. Nobody can with you here. We got the compound. So let's go, guys. If you guys are ready to cut out, you want to reset, recharge, start moving in the right direction for you and your life, because we only got one. I don't know.
That's
I might
true.
have 9 lives, but I don't want to keep testing my fate like that.
Right.
You know,
Don't do
so,
that. No, don't do that.
no, you got to have your environment right, and you got to have your people right. If you don't have the right people in your life, you need to cut them out, and you need to find new people. And so,
Hmm.
right here, Rob and I are your people. If you're watching to this point, then you're obviously resonating with what we're talking about. So if you guys have any questions, just hit me up on my social media, whatever. Send me a DM, Instagram, Facebook, and we'll go from there.
Awesome. Sandro, thank you so much for being here today. It's been a pleasure having you on the podcast. I'm going to give you the last second just to say, just to encourage people.
Well, thank you, Rob. It's been an honor and a pleasure to be here with you, and I look forward to more conversations moving forward, on and off screen. And as far as, encouragement, there is a better way. If you're not where you want to be right now, there is a better way. It's alignment with the right community, and first things first, reach out to people that can understand you. If you're stuck, reach out to me or Rob, or you know and we can help you out to some degree. We don't know how far you want to come, but there are more resources now in the community than there ever has been. So you're not stuck. You're not broken. You just need to be in the right environment and with the right people. So on that note, I look forward to hearing from you. Anybody that has some more questions, I'll be here.
Thank you, Sandro. And thank you guys for watching the program today. Again, I encourage you to visit myliferewired.com. You want to have a resource that is free to you. Just go to the resource tab, click on that. Everything I find that is beneficial to survivors, I put right there. So until next week, this is Life Rewired.
This is me, my life rewired.